Hey everybody, Dr. Sue in her car video series, and yes, you are noticing that my videos are now in a different orientation. And if you can figure out why my videos are now in a different orientation, drop below and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But what I actually want to talk about today is for quite a bit of time I've been talking about the pivot. If you've read my book, you heard me talk about the pivot. And the pivot is something I started talking about during the pandemic, where boss ladies had to figure out how to change their business based on the pandemic. And one of the things I talked about was not understanding how I was going to function with the pivot. And recent events in my life have made it essential that I figure out how to address the pivot, because most of you know that I had a 9-to-5 corporate job and I also had a business, Dr. Sue Speaks LLC. Well, I've recently separated from my corporate gig and now I am just Dr. Sue Speaks LLC. And the shift from having the security of a corporate job to being a pure entrepreneur is a very scary one, and it is something that women have to struggle and deal with and figure out how they're going to do that. And many women who have a 9-to-5 job or who are in corporate, we like the security of that in addition to our side hustle. And when your side hustle becomes your full hustle, there is a feeling of sometimes insecurity and a feeling of fear. And that is something that you have to address in the pivot. Do you have enough money in the bank? Are you going to be making enough money in your business? What are the things that you have to stop and think about as you do the pivot? And those are things I do talk about in the book, so I don't want to go into too much detail about those things because you can actually read about those in the book. But what I do want to talk about is the pivot and your mental health. So in this last week, Simone Biles has been all over the news because she's opted to drop out of the Olympics in order to deal with her mental health. And I've been following that story, and she's been very open about the process and why she's made the decision, that she didn't feel that she could trust herself, she didn't feel safe, she didn't feel secure, and she realized that she was not operating at full mental readiness. I don't want to talk about health per se, but full mental readiness to take on the task that she wanted to take on. And this is something that as women of color, we are all too familiar with. We understand the burden that is placed upon us because Simone Biles understands that she's not just representing herself and her country, she's representing all women of color, because women of color generally tend to be judged a little bit harsher than everybody else. Not so certain why the weight of the world is on our shoulders. But it is. And it's something that we understand, and it's something that we have embraced. But here's what you need to understand. You do need to look at your mental readiness and how that mental readiness impacts your mental health as it aligns with the pivot. Because there was one job that I had. I have a set of teeth in my mouth that are fused. And why are they fused? Because I used to grind my teeth at night, and that had to do with a level of mental stress that I was going through in a job. I was not aware of the fact that I was grinding my teeth. I went to the dentist to have my teeth cleaned, and he says, "Why are your teeth moving?" I said, "My teeth are moving." "What do you mean my teeth are moving?" He says, "Your teeth are moving." And when he did, after he did everything, he said, "I think you're grinding your teeth at night." And he gave me a night guard, which I groaned through. And so he said, "I need to save your teeth, so I'm just going to sit a bridge on top of your teeth to prevent you from destroying and grinding your teeth at night." So what I was not even aware of was that my job was creating mental stress for me. When I left that job, I stopped grinding my teeth at night. So I was jeopardizing my health, my physical health, because of the job. Didn't even realize it. Another job, my last day on that job, when I drove away from the building, I felt like the weight of the world had been taken off my shoulders. And again, it was because I understood that as a woman and as a woman of color, I was not allowed to sometimes make the same kind of choices that other people were allowed to make. So I'm really glad that Simone Biles has come out and said it is okay for you to prioritize yourself before anything else. So I am going through a pivot. And one of the things that I understood as I decided to embark upon this pivot was that I had to put myself first. My physical health, my mental health, my emotional and psychological health. I had to put those things first as I go through the pivot. And here's what I understand. I'm going to be okay. It's going to be okay. The universe is going to unfold in the way that the universe is going to unfold. I may have a plan, but that may not be the plan for me. So my job is to remain open to all possibilities so that I can take advantage of all of them and boss up. I talk about that in Boss Ladyship. So this is not a concept that is not known to me. It's just been a long time since I've had to put those principles into play. So stay with me on this journey. It should be a lot of fun. Dr. Sue, signing out.